Well, folks, it seems like the US and Russia just had a little get-together. In a world where international relations are often tense and unpredictable, this meeting comes as quite a surprise. The two nations, often seen as rivals on the global stage, decided to sit down and have a chat. It's not every day you see such a diplomatic handshake between these two powerhouses. And guess what? They didn't invite Ukraine. That's right, the country at the center of the conflict wasn't even at the table. Imagine being the main topic of discussion and not getting an invite. It's a bold move and one that certainly raises eyebrows. It's like going to a party about you without you. Awkward. The absence of Ukraine in these talks is like throwing a birthday party and forgetting to invite the birthday person. It leaves everyone in the room feeling a bit uneasy and wondering what the real agenda is. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov met in Saudi Arabia. This isn't just any meeting location. Saudi Arabia has been a neutral ground for many high-stakes discussions. The choice of venue adds another layer of intrigue to this already surprising event. This is the first high-level US-Russia meeting since Russia went all in on Ukraine 3 years ago. The stakes are incredibly high and the world is watching closely. This meeting could set the tone for future interactions between these two nations. Talk about breaking the ice. After years of frosty relations, this meeting could be the beginning of a thaw. But will it lead to meaningful change, or is it just a diplomatic formality? This meeting is a big deal. It's not just a casual chat over coffee, it's a significant diplomatic event with potential global implications. The decisions made here could affect international policies and alliances. It's like that moment when your divorced parents try to be civil at your graduation. Everyone's on edge, hoping for the best but bracing for the worst. The tension is palpable and the stakes are high. Everyone's looking around nervously, wondering if a fight will break out. The atmosphere is charged and every word, every gesture is being scrutinized. Will this meeting lead to a breakthrough or a breakdown? The fact that they're even talking is a sign that something's changing. In the world of diplomacy, dialogue is the first step towards resolution. This meeting could be the beginning of a new chapter in US-Russia relations, but what exactly are they talking about? Good question. The details of their discussions are still under wraps, leaving everyone speculating about the possible outcomes. We know they discussed the ongoing war in Ukraine. This conflict has been a major point of contention, and any progress in these talks could have significant implications for the region. But the big question is, can they find a way to end this thing? Peace talks are always complex, and finding common ground is never easy. Both sides have their own interests and agendas, and if they do, what will the terms be? The terms of any peace agreement will be crucial. They need to be fair and sustainable to ensure long-term stability. Because let's be honest, folks, peace is great. Everyone wants peace, but it has to be the right kind of peace. One that addresses the root causes of the conflict and paves the way for a better future. But a bad peace can be worse than no peace at all. A rushed or unfair agreement could lead to more problems down the line. It's a delicate balance, and the world is watching to see how it all unfolds. Here's the thing that has everyone freaking out. The political landscape is buzzing with rumors and speculations. People are on edge, trying to piece together what's happening behind closed doors. Ukraine wasn't invited to the party. This glaring omission has raised eyebrows and questions. Why leave out a country at the center of such a significant geopolitical conflict? Neither was Europe, for that matter. The exclusion of major European players has only added fuel to the fire. It's like planning a major event and forgetting to invite the key stakeholders. It's like trying to bake a cake without flour or sugar. Essential ingredients are missing, and everyone is left wondering how this recipe will turn out. You might end up with something, but it's not going to be a cake. The end result is bound to be disappointing and far from what anyone expected. Naturally, this has sparked a whole lot of paranoia. People are speculating about secret deals and hidden agendas. The atmosphere is thick with tension and uncertainty. Are the US and Russia cooking up a deal behind everyone's back? The idea of clandestine negotiations is unsettling, to say the least. Some people think this is a sign that the US is going soft on Russia. They argue that this could be a strategic move to ease tensions, but at what cost? They're saying, see, they're abandoning Ukraine. The fear of betrayal is palpable among Ukraine's supporters, who feel left out in the cold. Others are saying this is just a way to get the conversation started. Perhaps it's a strategic move to bring everyone to the table eventually, like a diplomatic appetizer, if you will. A small taste before the main course of serious negotiations. The truth is, nobody really knows what's going on. The lack of transparency has left everyone guessing and second-guessing. And that's what makes it so nerve-wracking. The uncertainty is driving people to the edge as they try to make sense of the unfolding drama. This whole situation raises a fundamental question. Who gets to decide the fate of Ukraine? Is it the people of Ukraine, or are their futures being decided in far-off boardrooms? Is it the countries directly involved, the ones who are feeling the immediate impact of the conflict, or do the big global players get to call the shots? It's a tough one. The balance of power and influence is always in flux. And the answer, as is often the case in international diplomacy, is probably somewhere in the murky middle. The truth is likely a complex web of interests and negotiations where no single party has complete control. So, Europe is feeling a little left out right now. And can you blame them? Imagine your two loudest friends deciding the fate of your favorite bar without even asking you. That's pretty much what's happening here. European leaders are understandably nervous. They've been big supporters of Ukraine throughout this whole mess. They've sent weapons, they've taken in refugees, they've even slapped sanctions on Russia. And now, they're being told to sit on the sidelines? Not cool, man. Not cool. The big concern for Europe is that the US and Russia will strike a deal that benefits them, but leaves Europe holding the bag. Will they be stuck dealing with the fallout of a war they had no say in ending? It's a legitimate worry. Another big question mark hanging over all of this is NATO. Remember how Ukraine was really keen on joining the NATO club? Well, it seems like Uncle Sam might be pumping the brakes on that one. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Heath hinted that NATO membership for Ukraine might be a no-go for now, and that a return to the pre-invasion borders is a fantasy. This is a big deal for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it suggests that the U.S. might be willing to concede some ground to Russia to get a peace deal. And secondly, it raises questions about NATO's commitment to defending its potential members. If Ukraine doesn't get NATO protection, what does that mean for other countries in the region who are worried about Russia? Will they think twice about cozying up to the West? This is a question that's going to be on a lot of people's minds. Section 5, Ukraine's dilemma. So, let's talk about Ukraine for a second. They're the ones stuck in the middle of this geopolitical tug-of-war. And they're the ones who are going to be most affected by whatever deal the US and Russia might strike. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has made it pretty clear that he's not going to accept any peace deal that involves giving up Ukrainian land. But the question is, does he have a choice? If the US and Russia present him with a deal that he doesn't like, what are his options? Does he keep fighting, even if it means more destruction and loss of life for his people? Or does he swallow a bitter pill and accept a deal that leaves him with a bad taste in his mouth? Section 6. America's Endgame. Now let's try to get inside the head of the United States for a minute. What are the strategic calculations, the political maneuvers, and the long-term goals that are driving their actions on the global stage? It's a complex web of interests and influences. What are they hoping to achieve with these talks? Well, it's complicated. The U.S. has a multitude of objectives, ranging from maintaining its global influence to ensuring the stability of its alliances. Each diplomatic move is a calculated step in a larger game of geopolitical chess. Some experts believe that the U.S. is trying to find a graceful exit strategy from the Ukraine conflict. This isn't just about ending a war. It's about doing so in a way that preserves American credibility and influence. The stakes are incredibly high. They've been pouring billions of dollars into supporting Ukraine. This financial commitment is not just a show of support, it's a strategic investment aimed at countering Russian aggression and maintaining a balance of power in Europe. And let's be honest, the American public's attention span for foreign conflicts is about as long as a goldfish's. Domestic issues often take precedence, and prolonged foreign engagements can lead to public fatigue and political pressure to withdraw. The U.S. might be looking for a way to wind things down without looking like they're abandoning their allies. This delicate balancing act requires careful diplomacy and strategic foresight. There's also the little matter of China. As the U.S.'s biggest rival on the world stage, China's actions and ambitions are a constant consideration in American foreign policy. The U.S. sees China as its biggest rival on the world stage. The rise of China as a global superpower presents both challenges and opportunities for the U.S., making it imperative to keep a close watch on Beijing's moves. And they don't want to be bogged down in a war in Europe while China is flexing its muscles in Asia. The strategic pivot to Asia requires resources and attention that a prolonged conflict in Europe would drain. A deal with Russia, even an imperfect one, could free up the U.S. to focus on the bigger picture. This bigger picture includes not just countering China, but also addressing other global challenges like climate change, cyber threats, and economic instability. The endgame for America is not just about winning a single conflict, but about positioning itself for long-term global leadership. Section 7, Putin's calculations. On the other side of the table we have Vladimir Putin. And if there's one thing we know about Putin, it's that he plays chess while everyone else is playing checkers. So, what's his game plan here? Well, for starters, he's probably pretty happy that he's managed to drive a wedge between the US and its European allies. A divided West plays right into his hands. He's also probably hoping to secure some concessions from the US, like recognition of Russia's annexation of Crimea. But Putin's biggest win might be simply getting the US to talk to him again. Remember, the US and its allies spent years trying to isolate Russia after the invasion of Ukraine. Now, they're back at the negotiating table. That's a win in itself for Putin. Section 8, a fragile peace. So, what's going to happen next? Honestly, your guess is as good as mine. But one thing's for sure, any peace deal that comes out of these talks is going to be fragile. There's a lot of mistrust between Russia and the West. And the situation on the ground in Ukraine is complex. Even if they do manage to hammer out a ceasefire, it's going to be a challenge to implement it. And even if they do manage to get a peace agreement signed, it's going to take years, if not decades, to rebuild trust and repair the damage that's been done. The road to peace is long and winding, and there are going to be a lot of bumps along the way. But you know what they say, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Section 9. The world is watching. One thing's for sure, the whole world is watching this situation with bated breath. What happens in Ukraine has implications for everyone. It's a test of the global order, a test of the strength of alliances, and a test of our collective humanity. Will we choose peace over conflict? Will we choose diplomacy over war? Will we choose cooperation over competition? These are the questions that we all need to be asking ourselves right now, because the answers will determine the kind of world we want to live in. That's it for tonight, folks. Stay tuned.
So hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, and let's turn the page on a new adventure together. Get ready to experience books like never before, only on VBook 360. Like, comment, and share to support the channel and keep the video magic alive. Thank you for stopping by. And remember, every video has a story, and every story deserves to be shared. See you in the next video.